Hey, good morning. Well, good afternoon. It's an afternoon. I don't know where the time went, but it's afternoon. Let me make sure that we are live here on Facebook. We are live on Instagram. I just wanted to jump in here. Oh, well, I just got a notification that we're live. So do me a favor, let me know you're here. I've got an interesting conversation for you today. This question comes in a lot. So do me a favor, let me know you're here. Say hello. I'm going to give you an update on if you got my email this morning. If you're not on my email list, you got to get on my email list. But about my the new show, the Affluent Entrepreneur Show, and the whole me being in podcast purgatory with Apple and all that. They actually sent me an email. They finally responded to me. So for those of you that don't know, our show, the new show, the Affluent Entrepreneur Show, was due to release yesterday. However, Apple decided that they were going to update their system, update their platform, their podcasting platform, and currently the whole system is kiboshed. That's a technical term. It's kiboshed. It's not working. And you can't upload any new shows, so we were having problems. And so what I did is we created a season 2 on my prior show, rebranded it and all that stuff. And they're still having problems. The cover art isn't necessarily correct. But we are in the game, because here's the deal. My mission is to serve. My mission is to help. What's pulling me forward is this obsession to help people understand that, first off, financial independence is a birthright. We just need to go claim it. We need to get the tools, the strategies, the tactics to make it happen. And that's what this show is about, especially for entrepreneurs, to get entrepreneurs in a place where you're sitting back and saying, all right, I want to scale my business, but not just scale the business so we can scale our money, so we have the opportunity to scale our life. And so we were told that the possibilities that it could be weeks before they get this whole mess sorted out. And I go, well, I'm not waiting weeks. I'm not keeping my audience waiting weeks. I want to serve. So we put it out, and it is out. But I got an email this morning, this is a perfect example of customer service and what not to do. Okay? You talk about, I'm just trying to find that email, but bottom line is, here it is. So I get this email 4 days later, and I put urgent in my email because in my support contact, 4 days later, they're sending me this email that says, hey, the support advisor has a follow-up message for you. I'm going, great. I got an advisor. Here's what they say. Our engineers are working to resolve the issue as soon as possible. No additional information is needed at this time. Please try again later. That was a nice way to tell me to kiss off. I go, well, there's 2 ways to skin this cat. We're going to rebrand the old show, the prior show, and we're going to make this thing happen, because you ain't keeping me down. Bottom line is the mission has to go forward. And you think about this in this whole idea of whether you're an entrepreneur, things are going to happen. The question is, what are you going to do about it? See, if we let the circumstances dictate what we do and how far we can go, then we can never go so far. Rather than that, let's let the outcome, the mission, dictate what we want to do and what's important to do. And so that's what we did. I said, let's find another way. The idea here is to make sure that we serve. The idea here is to help people. The idea here is to put information out there. The idea here is to create a community where people feel safe to have real conversations around money, around wealth, around the things that matter, so they can get their mission out there, so they can create their legacy and they can live the life at the full level that they deserve. I said, ain't no stupid software platform going to keep me down. Let's go after this thing. And so that's what we did. All right. So that being said, we are going to start pushing things out. We are doing a giveaway. We're doing all kinds of things. If you want to go, well, not if you want to go. All right. So there is no if. You do want to go, and you should go right now. Well, not right now because I'm on live. But what I want you to do is go to melabraham.com. Write this down. Write this down. melabraham.com/show live. Okay? melabraham.com/show live. Because then I want you to go, I want you to listen, I want you to download, I want you to follow, subscribe. If you're on Androids, you're going to be on Spotify. If you're on the iPhone, you're going to be in Apple Podcasts. All right? So I want you to subscribe. Then I'd love for you to do this. Go all the way down, and on this page it'll tell you how to do this. But just leave me an honest review. Download it, listen through it. Download it, subscribe, listen to it, through it, and then leave me a good review. Well, leave me an honest review. Okay? 5 stars would be cool. And everything. The reviews that have come in have been so great so far. And look, we're going to start putting out shows. I'm going to have another episode that's going to drop tomorrow, and we're going to start pushing this through. So, that's the update. On Podcast Purgatory, I'm still in it, but it ain't keeping me there. We're going through with it. So that's the game. Here's the deal. You're going to have to deal with that as an entrepreneur. Something's going to happen. Things aren't going to go your way. The idea here is not what happens. It's what we do when it does happen. Life's going to happen. Business is going to happen. Circumstances are going to happen. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? It's giving you something. Even when I got diagnosed with cancer, it was giving me something, and I had to figure out what that something is. Believe it or not, that something is you guys. That something is that I realized the importance to come out and serve and get people to be so financially independent that they never have to worry about it. The fact of the matter is that my cancer journey, I had to fight it medically. I had to fight it energetically, physically, spiritually, psychologically. I had to fight it, but I didn't fight it financially. Many people had to fight the pandemic on a lot of levels and financially. And so what I want to do is let's take the financial element out of it. And if they won't talk about it in schools, if they won't teach it to us as we're growing up, if we won't have real conversations at home in life, then we're going to do it on my show, the Affluent Entrepreneur Show. We're going to do it in my community, the Affluent Entrepreneur Facebook group. We're going to do it honestly, openly, directly. We're going to do it because it matters, because this matters to you. It matters to your legacy, to your children, your grandchildren, to your mission and your message. So we're going to do real conversations around all of this. And that's why it was important to push this thing out. Even if some people will get the old cover art, some people will get the new cover art. I don't know why it's doing it. But even if that's the case, the cover doesn't make the value in the game. They'll get the cover art figured out, and if it takes a couple weeks, so it takes a couple weeks. But in the meantime, we are going to be spewing value at you. We're going to be giving you tools. We're going to give you resources. We're going to give you work to do because we're going to move the money needle for you. That's what this show is about, and that's what we're going to do. So, in the spirit of that, in the spirit of the challenges that people have had going through the pandemic and going through some of these things, one of the most often questions I get asked is, hey, Mel, is it possible to negotiate? What do I need to do to negotiate my credit cards? Here's the thing. Those of you that are close to me, those of you that know me, know that, well, I believe that everything is a negotiation and everything is negotiable. Okay? Sometimes drives my wife crazy. But I literally, and most of the time when I'm doing negotiations, unless it's in some heavy-duty mediation, because I've been in the litigation game as a expert witness and a consultant and a mediator for many, many years. But most of the time, I do it in a fun way. So we have a conversation, like even at the rental car counter, okay? Hotel, parking spots, I've negotiated, okay? Getting into a parking garage on 4th of July, I negotiated. So it doesn't matter what it is, but here's the thing. The mistake, when we talk about credit card and credit card bills or any bills, there's a lot of people that have gone into debt, or a lot of people that maybe have lost their job and they're struggling and everything, and now they've got this debt and they're trying to figure out, what do I do? You might have medical debt. You know that medical debt is actually one of the largest causes of bankruptcy in the U.S. It's all negotiable. We just need to be willing to have the conversations. The real issue, and here's the first basic premise of negotiation, is it's about empathy. It's about understanding them. Understanding not just their position, but what their desire is. And I know that seems odd or maybe different, but one of the challenges is that most people come to a negotiation with the mindset of, I wonder what I can get from you. Well, that's like a tug of war. If I pull on something, the person's natural tendency is to pull back, to resist, okay? Hey there, Alana. So let me know, say hi when you're coming in and everything. So it's to resist. This is the beauty. I've been in the martial arts for 40 plus years. The beauty of Aikido, or Jiu-Jitsu, which is what I was trained in, the traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, is using the force of the opponent instead of resisting it, to allow it to work for you. And the same thing in negotiation. When we decide to push, they'll push back. When we decide to pull, they'll pull back. But what happens if we can meld the two and walk the same path? And the way we do this is to approach any negotiation with empathy, with humility. Okay, so first thing is empathy and humility, in the sense of trying to understand where they're coming from and what they need out of the game. Because the idea here is this: not what we can get from the other side, but what we can co-create together. How can we create a situation that allows you to move forward and them to move forward? That's what a true negotiation does. Okay, and I've negotiated deals, I've negotiated legal settlements, like I said, parking spots and everything. So when it comes to credit card debt, first off, the realization is this: they're used to people calling up and saying, hey, what can you do for me? Okay. The problem stems from the fact that most of the time people will come at it from, what can you give me? What can I get from you? Versus trying to get them to understand you. So I want empathy on their side. I want them to bring empathy to my side. And so one of the first things we need to look at is that. How do we approach it? Now, if you're truly going to negotiate credit card debt, there's a couple things to have in place. One, I want you to have your credit card statements in front of you. So you have the data and the information. You know what the interest rate is. You know what the balance is. You know what all of that information is. I want it in front of you. I want a pad of paper and a pen. A pad of paper and a pen. Make sure that you have it in front of you, because especially if you're in the middle of collections, you want to document everything. Okay? Everything you want to document. So you need to take notes. So the first thing is make sure that you have a pad of paper and a pen if you're going to do any kind of credit card negotiation, debt negotiation, or anything like that. Okay? Make sure that you know exactly how much you owe. And I want you to write it down. Then you want to look at where you negotiate. Now, here's the preparatory thing. What is your story you're going to tell? Now, story meaning your true story, not making up a story, but the reality is, what's the situation? What's the situation? Okay? I'll give you a for instance. This has nothing to do with debt, but here's the for instance. All right, you guys are all going to think that, oh, this guy's a snob. All right, I've had flight status on United Airlines for, decade and a half, all right? More than that, 15 years or something like, I don't know, some crazy. So I've flown over 2.5 million miles on United Airlines. I spent more time on airlines than I wish to even tell you about. But the bottom line is I've been 1K status for a lot of years, over a decade. And then when I got hit with the cancer, I wasn't able to travel. So I was not going to make my 1K status. And so I literally just called them up and said, here's the deal. And I told them my story, told them what was up. And I said, don't worry about it. We're going to extend your 1K status to the following year. And then we got hit with the pandemic. They extended another year. Point being is that everything is negotiable, but it's how you approach it. I want you to know what your story is. What are you going to tell them about your life, about what your situation is, to create empathy on their side, not excuses. In fact, acknowledge the fact that, hey, listen, I know I owe this money. Okay, I know that I owe this money. Acknowledging it is, you're not denying it, but give them the story, make it short and to the point. Okay, 1. 2, stay calm. In all likelihood, your first ask, they're not going to give it to you. In all likelihood, your first ask, they're not going to give it to you. Stay calm. Don't get threatened. You always have the chance to get belligerent and threatening. It usually doesn't work, but because they're used to it, they get that. Okay, so stay calm. Ask questions. Okay, ask questions so you get clarity. And here's the way to do this. Language, when you do negotiating, becomes hugely important. And I'm giving you some really cool nuggets here in the sense that language becomes really important. Those of you that are old enough, like me, you probably remember a TV show by the name of Columbo. Okay? If you remember the TV show by Columbo, he kind of always approached something where he would look at things and go, can you just help me understand something? Or, I'm curious. See, when I ask someone to help me understand something with the proper tonality, they feel compelled to serve. They feel compelled to help. So use curiosity. Use these kind of phrases of, hey, I'm curious. Can you help me understand something? Now all of a sudden, you've moved them to your side. This becomes hugely important. Okay? So ask questions. Take notes. Okay. Now, when you go into you gotta go find the show. It's an old TV series. So, and he's an investigator. He's a private investigator, and it's usually like the last question that he drops the bomb on him. He goes, "All right, if that's all true, okay, we'll do a whole session on Columbo." But so now, going into the negotiation with your credit card company, know what you want to get out of it. Okay? Do I want a change in my rate? Do I want a change in my term? Do I want a change in my payment? Do I want a postponement of payments without penalty? Do I want a forgiveness of a late fee? Do I want a deferral of some sort? Yep, Peter Falk. He was Columbo. So you want to understand. So you don't walk into a negotiation without an understanding of what you're trying to get to, what your goal is. Now you may or may not get there, and you may or may not get there on the first try. Okay. So, but we need to go into it knowing what we want to come out of it with. Now, once you go in there, you want to, when they answer, you're going to ask them, say, listen, I'd like to talk to someone about my bill, my account, and getting some sort of reduction, whatever it is, in my rate. Okay. Now you may need to do some homework, especially if you're going to get a reduction in rate. I want you to make sure that you have alternatives. I want you to make sure you know what those alternatives are. What are their competitors offering as rates compared to yours? Second, if you're past due, then be upfront and say, listen, I understand that I'm past due. I want to make good on this because I get it. It's my responsibility. So what I really, truly want to do is find a way for us to work together to come to a valuable conclusion so I can make sure that I make good on my commitment to you and we can keep this long-term relationship that we've had. All right. Hey, Joey's in the house. How you doing, buddy? And so we want to make sure that that we're clear. So we're going to ask right away and let them know upfront what we're trying to accomplish. And most of the time, the first response is going to be no. This is the beginning of a negotiation. Okay? So you want to allow them to say no. And then we say, all right, then what else can we, you can keep pushing. You now go back to your story. I've been a long-term customer. I've always paid on time. Here's my circumstances. Here's my situation. Please, I just want to try and work through this. I don't want to have a situation. I don't want to have to leave you. I don't want to have to go bad on this. And so you get real with them about it. So you start to do it in that vein. Now, if they say there's nothing I can do, then you escalate it. And you escalate it by saying, hey, then do me a favor. Can you transfer me to someone that has the authority to do a little more? Can I speak to a supervisor? Now, they may say there's no supervisor. Available. And I love doing this. I said, they'll turn around. They think that you'll say, okay. I said, that's okay. I'll just hold. Now and you just sit there in the silence. The silence is your friend. Okay? So they say, that's okay. I'll just hold. And I just sit there silently. And they go, I said, well, can you do me a favor? Just find someone so I can at least have a conversation, another level of conversation. And they go, okay. And you will do that if the person says I don't have the authority. You will escalate it every step of the way until you get to someone that can. They will make adjustments for you, but you need to ask for them, and you need to do it in a inviting way. Is the best way to say it, in an empathetic way, to acknowledge where you're coming from, where they're coming from, and do it in that context. Okay, so remember. You want to make sure that you know what your story is. You want to know what you want to get out of the negotiation. You want to ask questions. You want to document and write down everything. You want to know what you can afford and what you're looking for. If you are in collections, and I'm not, we've got an attorney on the line in Joey. I'm not an attorney, but the bottom line is this. If you're in collections, then what I want you to do is to make sure that any payment plan you negotiate with a collector is done in writing. So if they say we'll agree to reducing your rate, deferring your payment, wiping out the late fees, whatever they decide to do, they say, do me a favor, can you please put that in writing? And once I have that in writing, then we'll move forward, and they will do it in writing if they have the integrity and if they mean to do it, or they're just doing it as a ploy. Now, one thing that I'm going to tell you in every situation, especially if you are in a collection situation, to never, ever, 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 never, ever, 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 did I get clear? Never, ever, ever give them access to your account. Because too often what they'll do is they say, well, we will do this deal, but we want to have automatic withdrawals. Nope. Deal's off. Deal will not transpire. You are not to give a collector access to your account under any circumstances. Any circumstances. Okay? You'll make the payments. You'll submit the payments. You'll set them on automatic bill pay from your bank, but you are not going to give them access to your account, because you know what they'll do? Especially if it's not in writing, they'll swipe whatever cash is in there, apply it to the balance, and tell you to fly a kite. Because there are collectors out there that are that shady. So your credit card companies won't do this, but if it's in collections, you want to be mindful of it. So get it in writing. If you're with a collection agency or anything like that, we get it in writing. We don't agree to allowing them access to our accounts. Once again, what do I want to negotiate? I want to negotiate my rate down. I want to negotiate it's called an APR, an annual percentage rate. You can compare rates. If you're not sure how to compare rates and see what's offered out there, go to bankrate.com. you should also make sure that you're clear on your credit scores. You can go to freecreditreport.com. I get nothing for any of this, but go to freecreditreport.com, get your credit report at least once a year and check it. Make sure your credit score's in there, because what ends up happening is that you get used to being able to use this. When we negotiated the purchase of the home that we're in, they tried to play hardball with me. They didn't know who they were dealing with. All right. So I literally walked in. I did this on 2 homes. I literally walked in with my bank statement to show my down payment. Now, I was coming in with almost 50% down. You don't find buyers, especially in this market, at 50% down. So I said, here's my bank statement. Here's my pre-approval letter. This is my credit score. Okay? This house has been on and off the market. You haven't had a chance to sell it. It's fallen out of escrow. You can do that game again, or you can find someone to see if you can find someone more qualified than me that's going to put that much down with that much credit worthiness and to be able to close this deal within 30 days. Or you can take the risk and see if you can get a little bit more and have a more hassle, a more painful deal. Okay? Monitor your credit score, do all of that. So those are the things that I would do. You negotiate your payment, negotiate late fee forgiveness. Okay? There's times that, look, I've screwed up and I've missed a payment or something and I get a late fee. Call them up, and inevitably it's an easy deal that they'll say it's a one-time courtesy, but there's been some cards that have done it more than once because of me doing something stupid, okay, and missing a payment or something like that, and all that. Or you might be able to put a deferral in and say, listen, I'm in a medical situation. Can you give me 3 months to get on my feet, with no penalties and everything? And a lot of times they'll do that, but it's how you approach them. So let me give you one last little secret. Okay? The magic of language is important. We talked about curious, help me understand, the Columbo approach. But here's a negotiation that I was working in. It was in a negotiation where we were doing a buyout between three law partners, partners in a law firm. And I was consulting with one of the partners, and he came to me with this sheet of paper, and he says, here it is. And I said, what is it? It's this list. And I go, what is the list? He says, the list of my demands. I go, cool. Think about this. I said, think about this. We walk into that meeting, and you got your 2 partners across the table from us, and I sit there, and I look at that, and I hand them that list, and I said, these are our demands. I said, how do you think that's going to go over? He says, well, not very good. I said, then why would we do that? Aren't we trying to get these things and make sure that we come to a conclusion that way? And he said, yeah. I said, well, then we don't go in with demands. We go in for a conversation. And he says, well, I want to ask them why they can't give that to me. I said, that's the wrong question. He says, well, what should I be asking? I said, you change all why questions to how questions. Because why forces them to give you a reason or excuse why they can't. They defend their position. But if I ask the question, how can we make this work for you and I? Or how can we make this happen? It presupposes there is a way. And now instead of being at opposite ends of the table, we're sitting side by side looking at it and saying, how do we make it happen? When we change the questions that we ask from why questions to how questions, it opens up the possibility of resolution. It's one of the greatest things you can do in a negotiation. But the tonality also that you use matters. He went into that negotiation with a list of how questions. He came out of the negotiation and said, holy moly, that was the easiest negotiation that I've ever done. And he says, and yet it was against 2 other attorneys. And I said, exactly. When we come to a negotiation with the belief that there's a possibility of an outcome that serves all of us, we have a higher likelihood of a win-win situation. Negotiations aren't about what we can get from the other person. The negotiation is how we can create something that serves them and serves us at the same time. Now, does that mean you get everything you want? Not necessarily, but you get a lot more than if you do it in a demand. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Hopefully this helps. If you've got any of that type of stuff going on, this is some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about on my show, the Affluent Entrepreneur Show. It is live, although you might see that the cover art is not the same cover art because we're dealing with a podcast platform disaster that Apple is dealing with, and they said, like I said earlier, they may take weeks to fix. So I said, no, we're not waiting for weeks. We're going to get this content out there. We're going to start serving, because the cover doesn't make the value of what's on the inside. So let's get on the inside. If you want to go to the show, I'd love for you to go to the show, start downloading, subscribing, following, and reviewing the show. Plus, I'm doing some giveaways. All right. For those that review the show, we're going to do some giveaways. So go to melabraham.com/show live. It is on Spotify. It is on iTunes. It is in Google Podcasts. It is where podcasts are sold everywhere. Okay? But we're giving it away for free. So hopefully that makes sense. Listen, here's the deal. The Affluent Entrepreneur Show is for you. These lives are for you. This is the thing that I want to do. This whole live came out of a question that someone submitted. So if you have questions, let me know. Let's bring them on. Let's do the show. Let's put them on the show. Let's put them on lives. Let's make it happen. Let me help you, guide you. The idea here is this. I want to change your financial destiny. I want to give you the tools that we never got in school. I want to give you the conversations that we should have had when we were younger. I want to give you the tactics and the strategies that I've seen work. I want entrepreneurs to no longer be treadmill entrepreneurs, but to be affluent entrepreneurs. I don't want you sucking wind and constantly running on a treadmill thinking that this is the only way to life, because that's not what an affluent entrepreneur does. They live a richer lifestyle when they get it right. They have a deeper impact and they have complete freedom. That's what you deserve. Financial independence is a birthright. Let's get after it. Let's get after it and do it right. Not from a greedy way, but from a living way. To be able to know that we're living our life at the highest level, making a difference and living richly. To know that when we get to the end of our days, that we're looking back on it and going, holy moly, that was a hell of a ride. And that we would live an example for those to follow. Okay? So that's the game we're playing. And I just wanted to jump in here. We're going to be doing some more lives this week, next week. We're going to keep going. The show is live. Episodes are dropping left and right. Go there, follow, subscribe, download, listen to it all the way through. They're short episodes, at least most of them. Some of them get a little longer, because you know me. And then do me a favor. Rate and review me. Give me an honest rating and review. And hopefully it's towards the good side, but be honest. And then if you get a chance, share it. But if you submit your review, we put you in the giveaway. And the giveaways, there's cool prizes. And some of the prizes, one, we get a one-on-one strategy session with me. And two, one of the other grand prizes, someone's going to get selected to be a special guest on one of my episodes. We're going to bring you on. We're going to coach you. We're going to mentor you. And we're going to help you. So let's rock and roll. Let's have some fun. But I wanted to jump in here because I miss talking with you all and seeing you. So, yeah, we'll talk soon. I'll see you soon. I'm going to be live again. Coming live to you at least tomorrow and a ton the rest of this week. So we're live. We're good to go. All right. Blessings to you all. Go out there. Think about how you're going to negotiate things. And remember, as I said, everything's a negotiation and everything is negotiable. Enjoy it. Make a difference. Do it with integrity. Do it with ethics. Do it with love. Do it with empathy. And let's live a rich life together. All right? Cheers and love to you all. See ya.